Hey guys, it's Sarah from Never Tasted Better. So I want to tell you why I am so excited and happy right now. Because it's cold weather outside and I finally get to introduce my first pumpkin flavored thing to my channel. I am beyond happy right now and ecstatic. I want to show you guys how to make some light and fluffy pumpkin pancakes. Not hard at all. It's just a few tips and tricks you don't want to miss in this episode that avoids things like having gooey pancakes or too thin pancakes that feel like little floppy discs. We want them light and we want them fluffy. It's going to be so much fun. If you love pumpkin flavored things around fall time, these pumpkin pancakes will definitely satisfy that craving. So light and fluffy, not heavy at all. You don't feel super full afterwards, and just so delicious. The perfect amount of pumpkin spice in them. My kids love them so much. They were asking for seconds. And first things first, we're going to add 2 cups all-purpose flour, our leavening agents, a half a teaspoon coarse kosher salt, and 1.5 tablespoons of baking powder. Make sure your baking powder is not expired. I learned that the hard way one time. Our pumpkin spices. These are really important to make the pumpkin puree stand out. Make sure you don't forget your pumpkin spices. We have a 1/4 teaspoon of nutmeg, a 1/2 teaspoon of ginger, and 1.5 tablespoons of ground cinnamon. It's also optional. You can add a 1/4 teaspoon of cloves as well. I just didn't have any ground cloves, so I kind of just winged it and it turned out delicious. So if I had them, I would have added them. I didn't have them, so moving on. Let's whisk our dry ingredients really well together, making sure that you distribute that baking powder throughout. So really make sure you spend the time and really mix it well. Starting out with our wet ingredients, find the largest mixing bowl you can find. We're going to add 3/4 cup pumpkin puree. Make sure it's not that nasty pumpkin pie mix. You just want the pumpkin puree. I used organic and I loved it. Now comes the sugars. Don't forget your sugars. 1 tablespoon of white sugar, 2 tablespoons of light brown sugar. Add those in. 1.25 cups room temperature buttermilk. You want to make sure all of your wet ingredients are at room temperature. When you go to cook your pancake, if they're not the same temperature, if they're cold, it will start to separate as it cooks, and it will result in a gooey pancake because it won't cook evenly. 2 large eggs at room temperature. We're going to beat them up really, really well, making sure that they're going to get really incorporated into our batter. We need 1 tablespoon pure vanilla extract. We are going to whisk this really, really well until it's nice and homogenous and a beautiful orange pumpkin color. Let's add 6 tablespoons unsalted butter. Make sure it's melted and really cooled off. We're making pancakes, not scrambled eggs. So we're going to whisk this really, really well again. Butter has a tendency to want to sit on top and not sink in because it's an oil, it's a fat. So you have to stir it around and get it all nice and homogeneous again. We need 2 large egg whites. So we're going to crack our eggs into a small bowl. I used my fingers to kind of strain the egg through. This is a little risky. Your egg yolk could pop, so if you have one of those egg catcher things, I recommend using that. I was kind of lucky this time. I recommend using a hand mixer for this part. You can do it by hand, but it'll take forever and you will have a sore arm afterwards. So we're going to mix this until nice soft peaks form. And this is the way it should look. Soft peaks should form when you take your beaters out. That's perfect, guys. We are all ready to combine. We're going to whisk up our wet ingredients one more time, just because you want that butter nice and homogenous. Once that is done being whisked, we're going to go ahead and combine our dry into our wet. We're going to use a spatula this time to mix it. We need to be very gentle. We don't want to overmix the batter at all. And I'm using the folding technique to mix our batter together. Just be very careful. Go around the sides, go underneath, fold up and over. Keep doing this until almost combined. It's okay if there's a few flecks of flour afterwards. Don't worry about that. It's a good sign that you did not overmix your batter. Our last step, we're going to fold in our soft foamy egg whites. You want to be really gentle with this part. You can deflate them really easy by just over stirring and being too hard with it. So just be really gentle. Do the fold technique under and over. These egg whites will really help your batter have a lot of bubbles in it as it cooks, which will help your pancakes rise and be light and fluffy. Make sure your griddle is preheated to 350 degrees. Make sure you slather it up with a lot of butter. And we're going to measure our batter about a half cup each pancake, being very gentle, making sure you spread it out a little bit. The first side will definitely take more time than the second side. If you made pancakes before, you will know this. So you have to be patient. I set a timer for about 3 minutes, and after 3 minutes, you notice little air bubbles forming around the edges, and they start to look dried out. That's a good sign they're ready to flip. I love, love, love cooking with my griddle. It cooks so evenly, and you can cook a lot of food on it. So every time I bring it out, I get so excited. On the last side, they take about 1 minute to cook. These pancakes made my house smell like a Yankee Candle factory. Smelled so good, guys. We're going to test them using our finger. If it springs back, that means they're ready to plate. I've heard a lot of people say your first batch of pancakes will not look good, but guys, mine look pretty good, just saying. Make sure you repeat the process and use up all of your batter. If you have leftover pancakes, do not worry, they reheat really well. This was such a simple and delicious recipe. I hope you guys try making this one. If you guys like other sweet things for breakfast like muffins, you should check out my muffin playlist. I have a bunch of muffins on there that are amazing. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Please give me a thumbs up. Don't forget to subscribe. Bye guys.